Officer Emily thought it was just another quiet patrol, until a tiny German Shepherd puppy appeared out of nowhere, chasing her car and crying desperately. She had no idea this little pup was leading her toward a secret that would shatter her heart and change her life forever. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The sun had just begun to peek through the canopy of tall oak trees as Officer Emily drove along the quiet country road. Her patrol car hummed softly against the pavement, and the morning felt calm, almost too calm. She sipped her coffee, expecting another uneventful shift, unaware that this day would change her life forever. As she rounded a bend, a flash of movement caught her eye. A tiny German Shepherd puppy darted into the road, its little paws skittering across the asphalt. Emily slammed the brakes, heart pounding, as the puppy stopped in front of her car and began barking furiously. She stepped out slowly, and the pup ran toward her, wagging its tail while letting out desperate, high-pitched cries. Emily knelt down, her hand hovering just above the puppy's trembling fur. "Hey there, buddy. Where did you come from?" she whispered, scanning the empty road and nearby trees for signs of anyone else. But there was nothing, only the soft rustle of the forest. The puppy pawed at her boots and tugged on her uniform as if pleading for help. A chill ran down her spine. This wasn't a lost puppy wandering aimlessly. It was trying to lead her somewhere, and Emily instinctively knew she had to follow. Emily hesitated for a brief moment, glancing around the silent stretch of road. The puppy barked again, circling her feet before bounding toward the tree line. It stopped after a few steps, looked back at her with pleading eyes, and let out another soft whimper. Emily's instincts as a police officer kicked in. Something was wrong. She followed cautiously, her boots crunching over fallen leaves as she entered the woods. Sunlight filtered through the branches, casting shifting patterns on the forest floor. The puppy stayed a few feet ahead, stopping occasionally to make sure she was still behind. Its little tail wagged nervously, and Emily couldn't shake the growing knot of worry in her stomach. The deeper they went, the quieter the forest seemed to become. No birds, no rustling, just the sound of her breathing and the tiny puppy's soft whines. Emily's hand hovered near her holstered weapon, just in case. After about 10 minutes of winding through thick trees, the puppy suddenly sprinted ahead, disappearing behind a cluster of bushes. Emily quickened her pace, pushing through the brush. What she saw on the other side made her freeze. The forest clearing ahead looked disturbed. Broken branches, scuffed dirt, and something glinting faintly in the sunlight. The puppy stood over it, barking frantically. Emily's pulse quickened as she stepped into the clearing, her boots sinking slightly into the soft dirt. The puppy barked louder now, running circles around a patch of disturbed ground. Emily crouched down and noticed a torn piece of blue fabric snagged on a low branch, fluttering gently in the breeze. Her heart skipped. This was no random spot. She scanned the ground carefully, her eyes tracing over scuffed earth, shallow impressions of shoes and broken twigs. Then she saw it. A small, blood-stained badge partially buried under a thin layer of leaves. Emily's breath caught in her throat. It was a police badge, scratched but still recognizable. She gently lifted it, reading the familiar name of her fellow officer, Mark Reynolds. He had been missing for 2 days. The puppy whimpered softly and nudged the dirt with its tiny paws, drawing Emily's attention to an area just behind the bushes. She followed, her heart pounding, and froze. Tied against a tree, weak and barely conscious, was Officer Reynolds. His uniform was torn, his face pale, and his wrists raw from struggling against the ropes. Emily's voice trembled as she whispered, "Hang on, Mark. I've got you." The puppy barked again, as if urging her to act fast. Emily's hands shook as she fumbled with the ropes, the coarse fibers cutting into her palms. Officer Reynolds groaned softly, his eyelids fluttering open for the first time. Emily," he croaked, his voice barely a whisper. Relief washed over her, but there was no time to waste. He was dangerously weak, and the forest felt too silent, too threatening. The puppy barked sharply, running in circles as if sensing the urgency. Emily finally loosened the last knot, and Mark slumped forward into her arms. He was lighter than she expected, and his breathing was shallow. "Stay with me," she urged, glancing around the clearing for any sign of danger. Every rustle of leaves made her heart race, as if whoever had done this could return at any moment. With all her strength, Emily lifted Mark to his feet and supported his weight, staggering toward the dirt path. The puppy trotted ahead, occasionally looking back, as if guiding them to safety. Emily could feel her uniform sticking to her skin from sweat and fear, but she pressed on. Just as the tree line thinned and the distant hum of a road reached her ears, Emily whispered a silent promise. She wouldn't let him die, not after everything this brave little puppy had done. Emily half-dragged, half-carried Mark along the narrow path, her muscles burning with each step. The forest floor was uneven, covered in roots and damp leaves, making every movement a challenge. The little German Shepherd puppy stayed close, barking urgently, as if encouraging her to move faster. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, knowing every second mattered. Finally, the dirt path opened to a small clearing where her patrol car was parked. Emily fumbled with her keys, nearly dropping them in her panic. "Hold on, Mark, just a little longer," she whispered, easing him into the back seat. He groaned faintly, his lips dry and pale, his pulse weak beneath her trembling fingers. She started the engine and sped down the empty road, sirens wailing through the still air. The puppy curled in the passenger seat, whimpering softly, occasionally pawing at Emily's arm as if sensing her fear. Emily's eyes darted between the road and the officer in the back, her stomach twisting in knots. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, the glowing red cross of the small-town hospital appeared on the horizon. Emily pressed harder on the gas, praying she wouldn't be too late. Mark's life, and the puppy's desperate hope, depended on her now. Emily burst through the hospital doors, shouting for help as the sliding glass panels opened. Nurses and a doctor rushed forward, lifting Mark onto a gurney while Emily followed close behind, breathless and shaking. The tiny German Shepherd puppy padded alongside her, its paws clicking against the shiny floor, refusing to leave its new protector's side. Inside the ER, the room buzzed with urgent voices and the beeping of machines. A nurse checked Mark's pulse and immediately began attaching 4 lines. "Severe dehydration, hypothermia, we need to stabilize him," the doctor said. Emily clutched the puppy, her heart pounding. She had found him just in time, or so she prayed. As the medical team worked, Emily's eyes never left Mark's pale face. Memories of their morning briefings and casual jokes filled her mind. She realized how close she had come to losing him forever. The puppy whimpered in her arms, almost sensing the gravity of the moment, its warm body trembling against her chest. After what felt like an eternity, the doctor approached Emily. "He's stable for now. You saved his life," he said with a faint smile. Emily felt her knees weaken, tears stinging her eyes. The little puppy licked her cheek, as if sharing in the relief of that fragile, life-saving moment. A week later, Mark walked slowly out of the hospital doors, sunlight warming his face. Emily was right by his side, supporting him with one arm, while the little German Shepherd puppy trotted happily ahead, its tiny tail wagging like a flag of victory. Mark's once pale face now held a spark of life, his steps unsteady but determined. As they reached the parking lot, Mark crouched down and scooped up the puppy, holding it close. "I guess I owe you my life, little one," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. The puppy licked his chin, eyes bright, as if it understood the weight of those words. Emily smiled, her heart swelling at the sight of her partner's bond with the tiny hero. That evening, they returned home, the sun dipping behind the trees and painting the sky with hues of orange and gold. Inside, Mark sank into his recliner, the puppy curling up on his lap, warm and content. For the first time since his ordeal, he felt truly at peace, his home filled with the soft sounds of life and love. From that day on, the little German Shepherd puppy became his shadow, his guardian, and his family. And together, they embraced the quiet joy of a second chance at life.